Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Knit About It podcast. I am Drew, and
I'm Cassie.
and it's so exciting to see all of you today. Welcome to episode 3, and yeah, we've just number 3. We've got a lot to talk about, I think, and we're gonna do like a little bit more of a free-form format today. So we have some segments planned, but we'll just do kind of some chatting and catch up with one another and talk about our knitting and
Woo!
all the good stuff. So yeah. How's your day going, Cassie?
Oh, it's good. Woke up, coffeeed myself, wound up here.
Awesome.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Knit a little bit this morning.
Ooh, yeah, we have to talk about that in a second. I had a similar, I actually I'm going to tell on myself a little bit. I woke up early, had breakfast, went to get a London fog, so I'm not drinking coffee since the end of May, which is, I'm a little sad. But I'm also getting older, so it's just part of it, I feel like. Yeah.
I would have a complicated time with that whole situation.
Well, not to get gross or anything, but my body was having a complicated time with coffee for a long, long time, and I was just like, I've gotta stop. So I will tell you all out there, getting off of the coffee is just as brutal as everybody says. I felt terrible for 3 days. But now I'm doing teas, so I got a London fog this morning. Back to the story. And I did work this morning. Womp womp. And I'm probably going to do some more this afternoon. It's high season for work for my job. So that's my deal. And I've actually been really productive this weekend. I got a lot done around the house and chores and bills and knitting and all kinds of stuff.
All the weekend goodies.
All the weekend stuff. I cleaned my office and vacuumed in here. I've got a candle burning. Oh, I should share. Today I'm burning, let me see if I can. This is my basic bee candle, but it's fine. It's okay to be a basic bee. Capri Blue Volcano number 6. It's I should just be drinking a pumpkin spice latte and pledging a sorority right now, but it's fine. It smells really nice. What about you, Cassie? I know you've got a candle in the background.
Oh, of course I do. I don't even think you saw it, but you just knew. I don't have a fancy lid on mine. Mine is Copper and Moss Studio Peach, Citrus, and Thyme.
Ooh.
Beeswax candle made in Pacifica, California.
What was that again? It was peaches and thyme?
Peach, citrus, and thyme.
Ooh, I like it.
It smells delightful.
One of my favorite other basic candles, just as an aside, is Yankee Candle's Sage and Citrus. So good. I love the herb and citrus combos. Really, really nice and very good for summer.
Very good for summer. I agree. I like these little candles, though. I buy them at, what's the yarn shop in Pacifica that I go to? It's bee related. Oh my gosh. The Royal Bee Yarn Company. And this is a local lady to her. I had to think about that one.
Got it.
Local lady to her, and she sells all of her candles in her shop. And every time I go, I buy a candle. And if I take Sterling with me, I buy 2 candles because we have differing opinions.
Yeah,
He's
it's very personal.
Vanilla-y, foodie kind of candle. And I can tolerate those, but I'm more I was burning this one, and he's like, somebody burning a cigar somewhere. It smells like the sweet parts of a cigar. And I'm like, I can see how you think that, but it doesn't smell anything like that.
Yeah.
But I like the more musky, amber.
Earthy.
We both love amber candles, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not big into the gourmand ones either, but there are a couple that I like. There's this one from Dias and Durga that's called Breakfast Leipzig, which I've told you about, Cassie. It's it's supposed to smell I don't know, there's this whole story. It's supposed to smell a cafe in the 1800s in Germany, and it actually does. It smells like breakfast at your grandpa's house while he's like smoking a pipe. So
I'm
anyway,
very fascinated by that.
it's good.
I would definitely try that one.
That whole candle company, all of their scents are all about these experiences. Like they have another one that's like Big Sur After the Rain. They have one called like Concrete and Lightning. There's the one that's called like 85 Diesel that's supposed to smell like a 1985 like Mercedes Benz or something, and it smells like leather and gas and smoke and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah. I like that.
Anyway, sorry, sidebar, candles.
Way to get creative. Candle cozy is the best cozy.
Listen, if you guys ever want to talk about candles, you should ask Cassie and I, because we're both down the rabbit hole with candles, like forever and always, but especially this year. Yeah.
The year of cozy is struck. So, speaking of knitting.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about...
You want me to talk about it? What do you want me to talk about? The thing?
Do you want to talk about the thing, or do you want to do whips first?
We could do whips. I only have one
Let's do whips, because it's
I have
like
two
kind
whips.
of whips and like planned projects. Let's talk about that. So you go first, though.
Oh, should I talk about the sweater, or should I talk about the shawl?
I think you should talk about the sweater because it's a finished object. So.
Oh, no, there's a different sweater. My whip sweater.
Oh. Okay, yes. Start with the whip sweater.
I have my finished sweater. Everybody wants to see the finished sweater. I've gotten a lot of messages about it. But I went on a journey of trying to find the perfect... Okay, I'm going to set the mood here. 1980s, early 90s, preppy... deep V-neck, shopping mall, Ralph Lauren, oversized sweater. Have I set the mood?
Oh, yeah.
This doesn't exist. I have looked through every V-neck sweater on Ravelry. Every V-neck sweater. And I'm all like, it doesn't exist. I want big, deep V. I want very wide sleeves that decrease in like a very good fashion to give you just like that like good cropped, flowy, but structured, but good ribbing, little detail. And so I decided to just design my own. I'm writing it down roughly. If things work out, I might write it up, but I'm not a sweater designer. But I am this far.
Oh, yeah.
I've got this. Here's my sweater. And of course it's green sweater. So
I love it.
if it all works out, it'll be fun. But I definitely have a very particular vision in mind, and I decided, why not? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I have to rip it all out, and I've done that before, so I'm not really scared by it. But I did a lot of thinking about exactly what increases to use to add that structure for an oversized. I've already planned exactly how I want to do the ribbing and the little detail on it, and all of the measurements. So,
are you gonna do
fingers crossed?
Are you gonna do like kind of like the traditional like 2-color in the collar thing? You know what I'm talking about? Where there's
I do know what you've talked about.
All solid colored
and then like one little stripe in the ribbing.
Yes. Yeah.
It's crossed my mind, but what I want to do is like a knit row, just plain knit, and then 2 reverse stockinette, like I do on all my cowls, where I do the ribbing, and then I have a row, and then the 2 rows of reverse, and it just gives like this nice little polished edge. I thought about doing that here, but doing those 2 rows of reverse stockinette in a contrast color on the cuffs, the hem, the neck. I don't know yet. I'll decide when I get there, and if I do end up making this into anything, I'll probably knit it again, and maybe I'll make like a single color and then a 2-color option, but it would just be like a little touchy touch.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Little hint, little something.
Little something.
Yeah. But I'm really excited about it. I'm just waiting to get down to the V to where I can join it in the round and separate for the sleeves, and then I'll know for sure if it's going to work out, and then we'll go from there. But I'm really excited about it. I just really want to live in this, like, I want this sweater you can live in and just toss on, and I'm a sucker for a V-neck pullover.
Yeah. Well, you're developing quite the, like, you're starting to develop a little collection of sweaters like that, with your Glenmore, and then one other one that you'll share in a moment. But yeah, it's all about the cozy. It's all about comfy, I think. I mean,
Yes,
so.
I am ready for this weather to shape up so I can wear my sweaters. So
You mean you don't want it
sick
to
of
be
the
100
hot.
degrees outside?
No, and it's supposed to be 90 here today, and that's just some bullshit. That's all I gotta say about that.
Yeah. We're like, I don't know what's going on here, and I don't want to even say it out loud, but like we've been having like suspiciously cool weather and suspiciously like not humid. Like yesterday was like beautiful, not humid, and like 80 degrees, which is so unusual for us. And today's like basically the same, so we'll see.
Take what you can get.
We're soaking it in.
Yeah. It's been unusually mild here this year. Last year was a really hot summer, and this year's a little mild. And I noticed the last few years here in Northern California, we get the coastal fog every night, and it comes in and it just cools everything off. It's like air conditioning at night, and you just leave your windows open, and then nobody here has air conditioning for the most part. Well, I mean, they do now, but then you just shut up your windows in the morning, and it keeps all the cool inside. And the last few years, we haven't been getting all that fog. And I'm like, oh, well, you know, global warming, great. The fog is back this year, and I am so happy. I woke up this morning, and it was 52 degrees. And it's supposed to be 90 today, so we get these, like, huge shifts. But, like I said, it's like nature's air conditioning, and it's the greatest thing. So I closed my house all up, and hopefully it stays nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, worst case scenario, I'll retreat to the bedroom, turn the air conditioner on, and knit in bed all day long.
Well, that could be, you know, it could be worse than that, right?
Right. So, you want me to share my other whip? So, in this episode today, let me come in here. We are going to share my knit designing truth, I guess. The tea
is going to be spilled a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, I'm not going to like be naming names or calling people out or whatever, but I'm just going to, you know, a lot of people have asked for my experiences, my opinions, and then there's people that have blatantly asked, like, what happened with this and this and that, and you know, there's a lot of crap that's happened, and it has completely thrown me off from wanting to knit design the last few years, especially the last year, COVID, and just a shift in the knit community and a shift in some relationships. I've just like waved the white flag. I'm like, you know, I'm done. It's not bringing me joy anymore. I just didn't need that additional stress in my life that was really for no reason. It became for no reason, because things just kind of weren't really working out. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to sit here and force something that's just, you know, what's meant for you will come to you, whatever. And you can only like sit there and beat that same horse for so long before it's just like, I'm out. And my actual work life has gotten a little crazy. And so I just like, I need to shift and refocus. And I had completely said, I'm done with knit design. I'm quitting. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not bringing me joy. And then all of a sudden I start knitting this damn sweater. But and that's why I'm like, I don't know if I'll write it up or not. It's just something that currently is making me happy, and that's all I'm really trying to focus on. But that all said, my next whip is I've had this idea dinking around for quite a while, almost a year or so, and I had yarn plans, I had yarn company plans, I had the whole design drawn up, ready to go, and those plans all kind of fell through based on, the yarn company and all of that. And in the back of my mind the entire time I was going to design this shawl using minis for some colored stripes and doing something multicolored without using, like the yarn companies I used to design with and for, like, hey, let's do this kit with, 18 full skeins. Not really accessible for a lot of people, but, we're here to sell yarn. But in the back of my mind, I always had, like, this honestly would be the coolest thing with Spin Cycle. And so I decided, I still really want that shawl, even if it's just for myself. So this last week, I contacted my friend Jill from North Bay Fiber, Jill Zielinski, and I said, hey, your new Elemental Sport, will that pair really well with Spin Cycle? And she goes, yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's a good pair. And so I bought some skeins. The little sweet doll that she is offered to send them to me, and I'm like, no, I want to buy them because I don't want any pressure. And that's something I've started doing too. I'm just buying all of my own yarn. That way there's no obligation. I don't like obligation. I don't like the pressure. I don't like that, and then I always feel like a failure if I don't, hit a deadline or, it's just unnecessary stress, and I don't need it in my life. Long story short, I cast on this shawl. I cast on the shawl that I've been dreaming of for a really long time, and I kind of got back to the root of what I love about knitting and what I love about knit design. And I didn't know if that would ever return to me. And here we are. I have a shawl and I love it. And I've typed it up. I've written it up. I've sent it to Drew.
It's in my inbox this morning. I'm so excited. I think I might have to cast one on too. When she shows you guys, I think you're gonna like it. Well, I don't know if she'll show it.
I'll show it. I'll show it. I don't really have any secrets anymore, and I've kind of posted the little shawl nugget teaser on Instagram already, but it has progressed. Ooh, hit my can.
Careful.
Whacked my can with the needle. But I wanted a knit shawl that could almost look like crochet. And I wanted it striped like a granny blanket, and I wanted something that was like summer into fall would pair really well with a denim jacket. That's where we were going. And this so far is what we've got. So this is the North Bay Fiber Elemental and Spin Cycle in Ghost Ranch. And I'm very excited for my next stripe.
Yeah, I am too. You're supposed to send that to me last night, but of course you had to do things like
dinner,
eat and sleep, and spend time with your husband, whatever.
Well, I've knit all of this in a day and a half, and I mean that's quite a bit of a shawl to. These rows get long fast on this shape, the shallow triangle. I mean, look, we're already going pretty good, but I'm so happy with it, and it has given me just this renewed love of, actually designing something I love, and that's something that has, taken me a while to get back to that, because that's where I started, and then, you snowball into, what do you think people are going to like? And, you start designing things, yarn companies have an idea, and they want this, or we want to use this yarn, or we want to whatever. I'm like, meh, I'm doing whatever I want again, and if I do continue designing, that's definitely what I'm going to be doing, is whatever I want.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to go, because it's just, I think sometimes I'm definitely nowhere near your caliber in terms of designing, but I feel that way a little bit, even though I'm very early on in ice dyeing. I feel that tension already, like between things that I want to make and things that I want to create and I'm curious about and I want to try versus things that I think people will be interested in, and I'm already kind of feeling like the push and pull of that.
It's such a dilemma.
And it's tough because it's like, I don't know about you, Cassie, but for me, like the moment knitting becomes even like an iota about like work, and it's like feels like work and it feels like like I gotta like march through it, I lose like all steam. Like I just become like completely turned off. I'm like, nope, I don't want to do it. I don't want to go anywhere near it. So it's tough. Like I don't know how designers do it, because it's taking something that's like, for many people, I think, a hobby and fun, and it turns it into something that like, if you don't do it the right way, it can become a lot of work.
Yeah.
So
there's definitely pressure there, in that whole realm.
Yeah.
And I ruined knitting for myself. I really did. I would go weeks without knitting because I was just like, don't want to be knitting that. And now I'm just like, I'm easy breezy and I'm going wherever the wind blows me. And it feels so freeing. But it took me a really long time to get back there. I struggled a lot. And the world of knit design is a crazy one. I mean, I'm by no means like a popular designer. You've got your Caitlin Hunters and your Andrea Mowrys and your Thea Colemans out there. And yeah, I am not even invited to that party, So I can't even imagine what that whole scenario is, but these people are doing it for a living. Like they depend on that money. I'm lucky to where I have a day job and I can just say, oh, fuck it, I'm out.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't even imagine
Yeah.
what a hard day looks like for them if a pattern flops, or it's just a whole thing. I've definitely had,
that makes sense.
I've had some flops, and they've only been within like the last year and a half, 2 years, and it's hard. It sucks because then you start to put your value and worth into how things or how your design is received, and but now that I'm just knitting whatever I want, I don't feel that anymore, which is nice, because at the end of the day, I still have something that I love, and whether people like it or not, whatever. I started out like that too. I just hope I don't go back into that whole thing. Anyway, we'll dive into that more later.
No. Yes. Can I show you some of my whips?
I want to. I want to see them so bad.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, yeah. All right. So I'm going to show 2.5. Okay. So, I should have gotten out of the bag.
I want to know how you have half a whip.
I'm going to show you in a second. You will
Oh,
learn.
right.
Well, it's actually not even. It's nowhere even near a whip yet. But okay. So I am working on my painting bricks by Stephen West.
It looks like an ice-dyed t-shirt. It really does. I never even thought of that before until just right now. I was like, shit, that looks...
Oh, it feels so good, though. I can't wait to wear this.
I'm so excited for you.
So the story behind this is... there's a story. I'm like so crazy. I have like more stories about my knitting than Cassie can vouch. Anyway, so last year I did my first advent calendar for like yarn advent, which by the way is so fun. And I'm doing another one this year. I might even do two, but I'm doing at least one, which is Teal Torch Knits has an elder millennial advent calendar, which I'm like, hi, that's me. And so I'm going to do that one this fall. But anyway, last year I did one with Hue Loco, and it was all jewel tones. And what I liked about hers, and then also with, I'm pretty sure with Teal Torch as well, only a couple of the yarn dyers offer it on DK weight. So I have like so much fingering weight yarn. I was just like not inclined to do a fingering weight one. So I got a DK weight Advent. It was so fun to open. Some of you may have followed me. If you followed me on Instagram, I opened the box like every day, which was really fun. And yeah, so I was trying to figure out like what I was going to do with those minis, and I didn't want to do just like a sampler or like, I don't know. I don't want to be like a hater, but like those like sampler, like multicolored Advent specific scarves, like I'm just not really into those. Or like a really tiny throw. Like I'm a big guy. Like I need, so anyway, I thought about the painting bricks pattern, and I was like, that would be really cool to do. So anyway, and the only other thing I will say about this, well, actually two things. One is such a fun pattern, like Stephen West, favorite, love. Even the things that are like real crazy and I don't want to knit, I still really respect, because I'm just like, you do you, like you're inspired, you want to do like 35 brioche patterns, like
it's his
awesome.
art.
Not my thing, but yeah. The second thing I want to say is my sweet partner, Mike, who is a big supporter of all my crazy knitting stuff. I made him go to Philadelphia on our way to visit our in-laws, like right around Christmas, because we go for a week every year. And I had all of my Advent minis with me, but I needed to get the main color. So like the main color is, what is it called? I think it's called Kettle. The Kettle colorway on Brooklyn Tweed Arbor, but we didn't have that locally, but I knew that Loop in Philadelphia had it. So I made him go like through Philadelphia on our way. It was such an odyssey. Like, I don't know if you guys remember or have been to Philadelphia, and again, I'm not trying to hate on Philadelphia, but like that is a hard place to get around. Like, and it's a little weird. Like, I had forgotten, I hadn't been there in like maybe 10 or 12 years. Like, there's like parallel parking in like the turn lane, like in the center of the road. And like there are lots of like, the streets are basically like alleys with like cars parked on both sides. It was like a little rough. He was not, it wasn't like a relaxing experience, I'll just say that. So anyway, so I'm excited. I hope to like have this be one of my Rhinebeck sweaters.
I think you can do it. You're gonna make it by Rhinebeck for sure. I mean, you're almost done with the body.
I am, yeah, and I'll just have sleeves. And obviously the hem that I've got to do in twisted rib, which will take me like a long time because I'm slow on twisted rib, but the like effect of it will look really nice. But yeah, and then the other, whoops, dropped that on the ground. I guess it's like the season of like reinvigorating like all of my like castaway projects. So the other thing I'm like breathing new life into is the Normandale cardigan, which is kind of hard to show, but it's like, I don't know, it's super cool.
I've been waiting for you to bring that one back out for a while.
Yeah, it's and I'm actually like, again, kind of a significant amount of the knitting is done. Like, I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's the cardigan's knit like all in one big piece. And I'm basically almost done with that part. I just have like a few rows to go on the back. But then I need help. So like one of the things that is a little bit of a barrier for me, and I'll just admit and just like share with everybody, is like I'm just not strong with seaming. It's not really been like a something I've wanted to do, and I've actually been like a little afraid of it over the years. And I really wanted to make this cardigan though, because I had a friend who made it and his turned out awesome. And then I like looked at all the other projects that people had made and they were all really cool. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but the sweater is really cool because it leverages a DK weight yarn and a chunky yarn. And so you get this like cool, I'm going to zoom in. this cool kind of like curvature in the fabric. And the reason that happens is because like you're knitting with the DK weight and then you like knit with the chunky and it kind of like pushes everything out because it's so much thicker and it creates like waves in the fabric. It's really, I highly recommend it. And it's a Nora Gone pattern, which she's amazing. Like her patterns are so good, very clear, very like tech edited and perfect and just, I love it. But I've got to go and get some help so I can like seam the shoulders. And then I'll do sleeves, and I'll need to seam the sleeves. And then there's a brioche shawl collar that you knit separately and then, like, apply. And then I'm going to be swaddled in that, also hopefully for Rhinebeck, if not sooner. I have, like, a secret goal, but I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to the Pacific Northwest in September, and I had hoped to bring it there, but I don't think it's going to happen because I still have to get in for lessons at Fiber Space to help me with my seaming. But I think Rhinebeck is definitely in the realm of possibility.
You've got it. I'm
excited.
But you're gonna finish that for Rhinebeck, and it's gonna be one of the hot Rhinebeck years.
I hope so.
Oh no.
Not actually. I thought when I heard you first, I thought you were saying it was gonna be like the hot sweater.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
Yeah, it is.
Shit. Everybody's like, hey, look at Drew.
Listen, it's gonna be hot, and I'm going to be asked, tell me about your Rhinebeck sweater, and I'm going to tell all about it. But no, yeah, it'll probably be like 90 degrees. But at least it's a cardigan. So like with that one, I can kind of like just go naked, underneath it or air it out a little bit, Wear it as like a cape
the
or something.
Thinnest t-shirt underneath.
Yes. And then my, like, in progress, I need
to know about this half a whip.
You're gonna know when you see it in like 2 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah. Now you know.
It's a whip to be.
Now you know. Whip to be. Okay, so Cassie just showed her like Granny Square inspired one, and I want to make it out of these.
I love that you want to make something I made.
I always do. So yeah. This is Rusted Rainbow from Spin Cycle. My skeins are all like different.
It's gonna work
really
well.
Fun and bright. And then this is, excuse me, I'm losing my voice again. Last week I lost my voice for like the whole week, and like now I'm like back there again, and it's so weird because my partner has had COVID, and he's still like sick, and I have not gotten it. Like, I've been testing all week. I am, like, not getting it. We've been very careful. I don't know. I mean, I'm, like, thankful for it. But anyway, like, I have lost my voice. I'm not sure why that is. Anyway, and then this is Nest Sport from Magpie. So, anywho, excited. Whip to be.
Little travel project for you.
Yeah. It'll be good for when I like not feeling like a sweater.
Yeah, it's nice because it's all like garter lace, which is there's one purl stitch every 2 rows, and just yarn overs and knit 2 togethers, and
that's my kind of pattern. I don't love to purl, so.
Well, I'm taking a little road trip next weekend, and that's kind of why I cast that on now, is to get a good start on it, and then I have a travel project. But I am hopeful to get the sweater in the round. V-neck done, joined in the round. That way I just have some stockinette, too, to work on for a while. Should I not have the ability to focus on that little gem of a shawl.
It's good to have options. It's good to have 2 things with you.
So...
Is it time?
I finished...
This is going to be like... Oh, yes. Okay.
She's done. She's got 2 different sleeves.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my gosh. This is like my favorite part. Hello. I'm twisted. Yup. It's got 2 different...
Yeah, you
a
are.
little bit. No. I'm a wild one. But it's got 2 different little sleeves. And I think that's just charming. And this is a really cozy, well-fitting sweater. And I must suggest that if this is on your radar and you've thought, I kind of like that, knit it.
Can I say something? Can I take a
Yes.
point of privilege? 2 things. Number 1, I love the colors that you picked.
And I picked. Yes.
That we consulted on. Well, we worked together on it. And second thing I'll say is, and this is just me, I'm not speaking for you, I feel like sometimes Caitlin Hunter gets like a little flack. People are kind of like cranky about her sometimes. I love her stuff. I think her patterns are really great, and I knit Guthrie, really like that one. I've got a few others in like my queue. I'll be frank in saying, and I've said this like several times publicly, like the gauge is like a little wackadoodle, so like you have to figure out your own like. I think she knits like super loose. Like she knit like the Guthrie sweater. It was like 20 stitches over 4 inches on a size 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to knit on like an 8 or a 9 to get that. But I'm a tight knitter. So anyway, but I just think her patterns are really good, and I really like the one that you made, and I like the one that I made. So I'm just offering my 2 cents.
I think her stuff is really cool too. One of my plans is, if time and effort and all afford, I might knit this solid, like a solid colored one, because I just love the fit of it so much that I think it would be a really good like staple type sweater, like like a good heathered gray, or like a dark mustard. I've got thoughts and plans.
Listen, if like, yeah, well, and it's just like regular clothes, right? Like I don't know about other people, but like my pattern, or like my, I don't know what they call it, like toxic trait or whatever, like as soon as I like find something that I like a pair of shorts or like a shirt in one color that I enjoy, I buy it in like several other colors. And so I think it can be said for like knitting. It's like if you knit something and you really like it, there's nothing saying you can't knit another one in a different way.
And I believe that if I knit this in solid, it's so wildly different than the color work version that like I don't think people would even know that it was like the same sweater if I wore it 2 days in a row.
Well, and even down to the fact that like you used spin cycle, and then your main color is like a hand dyed yarn as well, so that has some variation. But if you were to do it in like a heathered yarn, and it was like kind of a, I don't know what they call it, like factory dyed or whatever the name is for that, like mill dyed.
I definitely have
like the kind of uniform look
like
of
a
it.
lot of variation, but it's all. I alternated the crap out of those skeins, and it all worked out.
You get an A+ for that one.
I cheated a little bit.
Great.
Like I only alternated on like the main part of the body, but like this one skein, because it's not attached to anything else. And then once I started the bottom ribbing, I just started a new skein because you'll never be able to tell. And then I alternated on the sleeves the same 2 or 3 skeins that I was using on the body. And I think it melds pretty well. Here it's a little whatever. In real life, it doesn't look like that. The camera definitely makes it look more varied than it does in real life.
Yeah. I think the main thing is like as long as you avoid that like big hard line like right in the middle of like your chest. Sleeves, hems, collars.
I also hate the line here when that happens, because you've like separated for the body or separated for the sleeves, and then you pick up and start. I always make sure I save some of that a little bit of that yarn to like at least like feather it in on the sleeves. Yeah, I think that's a good tip and trick. Feather in your sleeve color. Yeah, but did you see she's got a new, Caitlin Hunter, has a new pattern coming out that's based kind of like same neckline, same everything, but it's like lace and baubles on the top. It's beautiful. It's not for me.
Yeah.
It's a little too... Yeah. I'm not a frou-frou girly kind of...
Right.
It's a little bit much for me. But I appreciate it. I think it's gorgeous. I think it's gorgeous. And she... she held it with like a mohair or something, so it's got that like glowy, just goodness. Love it. Love it.
Awesome.
So, is it time?
Is it time?
Is it
Now
time?
it's time. I was going to say one other thing, which is, this is to you, but it's also to America, which is regarding those skeins. I don't have a size 6 needle, so
Shopping.
you know what that means? It means I'm going to have to go to Fiberspace today and get a size 6 needle, and then who knows what else may fall into my lap.
They were having a sale.
This would be where there'd be like a little halo, but there's not really a halo because bad things are probably
You're going to get there and you're
happen,
going to have your
but
little
it's fine.
angel and devil fighting each other. Like, I shouldn't. You should. You really should.
I know, it's bad. They have some really good, like, I love that store, and they have just, like, such good colors, and they have, like, a lot of my favorite yarns. It's tough. It's hard to go in there and not spend money, but
I would love to visit.
We'll see.
It looks like such a good shop with such a good selection.
it's cute. It's cute, and it's very, like, well curated. Like, there's just really no... There's no filler in there. Like, it's all really good stuff. I mean, and they have some good basics, but they've also just got, like, a lot of really good, like, non-superwash wool, which I like. So, anyway.
No.
Sorry.
I love your
Sidebar.
sidebars.
Back to you.
My nose itches. Oh. So, I've gotten so many messages, and it's all regarding, where are you? What's going on? Why aren't you designing? When's your next pattern release? Why aren't you working with so-and-so? When are you doing something with so-and-so? And if anybody knows me and my history of knitting and design and whatever, they know who so-and-so is. And I am here to say that it's not happening. I am not and will not be working with so-and-so. So just stop the questions. Stop all the messages, please. I don't want to answer them all and say, sorry, it's not going to happen. But you may or may not have noticed my absence if you've been around for a while. And that's where we've been with that. But let me forward this all by saying I never entered into wanting to be a knit designer, to be the popular knit designer Instagram person. I don't know really how to put it, but like that was never really my intention. I started designing something because there was something that I wanted that didn't exist. And then once I did it, and I shared it with some other people and they enjoyed the pattern, and I thought, well, maybe, this is like a good little side gig or a way to make a little extra money. And that's all it really became, was money to buy more yarn. And I know,
sounds
right?
pretty good to
like
me,
that sounds
right?
like oh, I can knit to make money for yarn to knit more. And that worked really well for a while. And I created a relationship with a yarn company, and I designed pretty much exclusively in their yarns. I worked with Plucky Knitter for a really long time, and that relationship went when Sarah went. And honestly, my entire customer base was their customer base. And I didn't have a customer base of my own outside of that. So when I left that, I left an entire customer base, and it was almost like starting over again. And it never really snowballed because I'm not super into self-promotion. I'm not really good at that. And it just almost felt impossible to sell a pattern. And I could have done more on my end, sure. but there was a level of a little bit of heartbreak around it. Everything that I'm very much a creature of habit, and I don't like change. And things changed, and it just became harder for me to, find that creative space. And I ended up trying to force things that weren't there, design things just to design things, felt obligated to use, new yarns and find new relationships, and that just, it became stressful, really. And then this is just going to be a very bluntly honest conversation. I mean, you know a lot of it, but I mean, there's just so much emotion tied to it. Because I'm somebody that just wears their heart on their sleeve. And so, being met with so much just failure was really hard. And I couldn't drag myself back out of it. And I put myself out there with my patterns, and that's really hard, because in a way you're kind of an artist, and having people review your art, I guess, is essentially what you're putting out there. And then for it to not be well received is kind of like a gut punch. Because I used to sell patterns like, great, we're going, things are, good momentum, all of that. And one of my last patterns, which was one of my return to what I wanted to knit when I wanted to knit it, was the Jenner shawl. That was the one shawl that I was like, you know what? I'm going to purchase this yarn myself. I'm going to do what I want to do. I had this idea. I knit it. And I sold 14 patterns. Since I released that, I sold 14 patterns. And my Instagram post had 830 something likes on that, first post of it. And I'm like, it just doesn't equate, or people aren't buying patterns, or people, we'll put it in our queue and we'll think about it later, which is, all fine and well. I'm not expecting, or, whatever, anybody to buy patterns, but, just having sold so many more in the past, and finally doing what I wanted, and it to not be well received, kind of felt icky, essentially.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the beginning of the, downfall of it all. And then it feels so vulnerable to put yourself out there and then to not be well received. Then the other parts of it became trying to change myself, essentially, to fit an aesthetic. And you can see through Instagram, there's the cool kids club of, I call them the cool kids club of knit design and whatever. It's the same yarn companies, the same designers, the same whatever, and they're all in this little loop, and they're woohooing each other's everything. And I kind of used to have a relationship with, a yarn company that woohooed my, whatever. And to not have any of that anymore, I felt really alone. I was trying to sell somebody else's yarn, and there was really no reciprocation there. You post, you tag, you whatever, your pattern in their yarn, which is essentially to sell their yarn. And you would think that they in turn would promote your pattern to sell your pattern to then sell their yarn. It's all a give and take. And every time I made a new relationship with a new yarn company to design something and put it out there, it's oh yeah, we'll repost and all of this. And it felt like pulling teeth to get anybody to repost anything. And it's I feel like I'm just shouting into the void. There's nobody, whatever. And then it was kind of like you feel so just, I don't even know what my feelings are anymore about it, but it's just like you feel kind of like alone in the world. Like I'm trying and nothing's sticking, and I just got to the point to where but I know some people have other questions about my knit designing in general. Like, people want to know about yarn support and what that means. So I will cover that. A yarn company will offer yarn support, or you can ask a yarn company for yarn support, and that comes with an obligation to knit a pattern with their yarn and exclusively list that yarn in the pattern. And it's generally like a good relationship. I've not had a lot of problem with any of that. But there have been unnecessary pressures related to it. And when I'm under pressure, then it becomes not fun. And then, I kind of ruined knitting for myself. And I don't want to go down that whole path anymore. So now I buy my own yarn. And if something comes out of it, something comes out of it. If it doesn't, I don't have an obligation to anybody, and I don't feel the pressure. I have enough pressure in my day job. Like, I don't need any of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it also, it brings out a little ugliness in some people too. Just, other stuff. There's competition out there for relationships with yarn companies. And I've always been somebody to cheer other people on and woohoo them and share their stuff, and then you start to see that like not reciprocated, and then all of a sudden, like I mean, it's hard to like talk about it without like really saying more than you really should. But I've just been over here quietly feeling my feelings.
Yeah.
And like I said, as somebody who wears their heart on their sleeve, it just became really hard. And I'm sure everybody's noticed my Instagram posts. They're like, wow, you're like just digging deep there.
Well, and I would just jump in with a couple of observations that are related, and this is just, again, my personal opinion. And I think I said something to this effect, either in episode 1 or 2, but my opinion, and this is not scientific, it's just kind of like my recollection of what's happened over my knitting career, which today is actually my knitting anniversary. Facebook reminded me. So 13 years ago today, I was working on a garter stitch scarf out of Barocco Comfort. In probably like the ugliest powder blue. And do you know that scarf is still around? Because I gave it to Mike, and he like loves it. And I, of course, I'm appalled every time I see it, because I'm like, oh, there's so many mistakes. And anyway, but over those 13 years, I feel like, I'm not going to blame this all on social media, but I feel like social media really has kind of, I think I would say, like, contorted and dramatically narrowed, or I don't know what the right words are, but I feel like over the past several years, it's like just a handful of designers and a handful of yarn companies have now like a really large voice and a really large following, and consume a lot of they take up a lot of the space and a lot of the oxygen around knitting. And when I first started, I remember it was all about the local yarn store, and Ravelry had just I had been around, I think, for a couple of years when I started knitting, but that was an exciting thing. People have you heard of Ravelry? You should sign up for it. That sort of thing. And the dynamic has really shifted now. And I feel like, I'm not trying to be critical, but I feel like a lot of people are just kind of waiting to be told what they should buy and what they should knit. And I think my thought, and I was that way for a long time. Like I feel like I was swept up in something as well for several years, and when it kind of things shifted, um, I think I had a moment where I was like, wow, I'm really missing out on a lot. Like, I really am missing out on like thinking for myself and like knitting things that I truly like kind of find on my own and are like things that I want to make. Like you were talking about earlier, Cassie. I mean, like I'm not as talented as you to be able to like design like, hey, I want to make a V-neck. I'm just gonna like make it up. But I think like I kind of like lost my way in that sense. And the same was true for yarns. Like I feel like I was like into like one very specific lane. And when I like broke out of that, it was really freeing in a lot of ways, and it continues to be, because it's just like I can discover new things, and there's just a whole lot out there. So yeah, that's just like my 2 cents, and I guess my advice would be just explore a little bit. Like there's a whole ton of people out there who are doing really cool stuff. Like I mentioned Teal Torch Knits. I had not heard of her at all until you had mentioned her to me, and you actually sent me a couple of her skeins, which are beautiful. And then I started to follow her, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And there's like a girl who's local, another person who's local to us. Her name is Woolen Vinyl. Her name is Rachel. And I met her at a festival this spring. Really cool yarn, beautiful. Like, but again, I think she's just starting out, and doesn't have like a massive following. And I'm not saying like those companies are all bad, and that's all a bad thing, like 100% of the time. But I just think like being aware of it is important. It's just it's not. This is not like dissimilar to like any other business or any other industry where like companies, there are like big powerful companies that like dominate. Like that's kind of happening in the yarn world through social media. So anyway, that's
well, and I can't help but think
little
that social media plays a little bit into that, because we all know that social media favors the beautiful people, and these people all just happen to be beautiful people. They fit an aesthetic, really. And I mean, that's nobody's, fault. I mean, you can't, whatever, but it's just, it seems to like, that's what's pushed more than anything. And it's so much, like I'm following such a wide variety of different yarn companies, different designers, different everything, not necessarily just, the top 5 popular things going on in the knit community right now. But I can go to my Spyglass, and it's not going to show me anything that's not, a beautiful, well done photo of a beautiful person in a beautiful place with a beautiful layout of a beautiful whatever. It's all about, it's definitely about whatever. And I know that I know people will probably be like, no, you're exaggerating this, but it's just like, I know I've missed out on opportunities because I don't fit a certain aesthetic. And I will say that I have actually gone out of my way to try to be a little bit more like some people in order to try to get some footing somewhere. Or, we've all done it. We're all guilty of it, whether you want to admit it or not. But that wasn't being genuine to myself. I mean, I am who I am, and I'd like to think people appreciate me for who I am instead of, who I'm trying to be. And for a really long time, I was trying to be somebody that I wasn't. And I finally just said, screw it. I'm a loud, noisy, sweary, not... like I would not post certain things, and I would post certain things and whatever, because like you're working with, so-and-so who, isn't very political or isn't, very this. And so I silence that part of me, or I mean, does any of that make sense?
Yeah.
And I stopped being who I am.
It makes total sense. And the other kind of, yeah, I mean, like, I don't like want to use this analogy, but I'm going to. because I can't help but think about like high school. Like there is like in
Mm-hmm.
like lunchtime and like sitting at the table, like, you know, it's like there are definite like cliques and camps and like, you know, like if you don't want to be political, well then there's this whole group for you. And if you want to be like uber
Mm-hmm.
political and that's like the only thing you wanted to do, like there's another spot for you over here. And it's it's sometimes it just feels like everybody's kind of running towards these big camps. And then for those of us who are kind of like somewhere in the middle or who like want to cross those boundaries or maybe just like
Yeah.
aren't that into all of it and just want to like knit because it's happy, like a happy thing, like it's just it sometimes feels like we don't have a home. Or I'm speaking
And
for
I feel that
myself,
same
so I
way
shouldn't
too.
say
So
we.
it's not
That's how
just
I feel
you.
sometimes.
It's
um
um I definitely politically feel a way, but I'm not gonna post 13 things about it every day. Every once in a while, if I'm feeling a way, I'll post a thing. Like I feel like everybody knows like where I land on the spectrum, and I don't. There are
yeah,
some people I follow, and I'm I use my Instagram for knitting. Really, at the end of the day, like I don't really care to see 15 different memes all about how this one person is a piece of shit. You know, like, I mean, that's all they do is there's just, hey, and this one, and this one, and this one. Did you see this tweet? Did you see this? Did you see that? If I wanted to see a tweet, I'd go on Twitter. Please stop reposting things. I've just kind of like hit my limit with it. And I took a little bit of a social media break because I'm just like, it's every day the exact same thing. It's like, the world's shitty enough as it is. Stop reminding me.
yeah,
Like, can I have a break for a minute? But I mean, I guess, Instagram is your own place to do your own thing, to post what you want to post about. And I'm going to be honest, I've unfollowed a lot of people because of that whole thing, or just muted them, or whatever. It's just like, you posted 42 stories today. Like, yeah.
yeah. No, I'm in the same boat. It's just like enough already. It's I mean, we get it. Like posting what you believe one time or two times or three times, fine. But
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point, it's
Yeah, the
like
world's shitty.
we
Thanks
get
for
it.
reminding me.
You know,
Like I sent you
whatever it is.
a meme or a tweet or something
Yeah.
yesterday about coffee drinkers, how coffee drinkers are psychopaths
Oh
because they
yeah, that
wouldn't be
was cute.
fully awake for this nightmare. Like,
Yeah. It's funny though, like as I say that though, I'm sure there are people out there who follow me on my Instagram and are so tired of me talking about ice dye and they're like, "Oh my
do
God,
it.
please don't post another shirt." And you know what? I'm going to do it.
Because
I'm going to post another one and another one and another one. Oh, please
keep
don't
doing
post
it.
another
And
thing
like I
about
told you
rowing. It's like,
before,
nope, I'm going
if
to
you
keep
keep
doing it.
posting what you're
So,
passionate
I guess
about,
it's
and this is another thing that comes into that whole social media thing that I kind of fell into, is that I was posting things to attract the people that I thought I wanted to me. But screw that. I'm going to post what I want, when I want, and the people that are your people will find you. Like, you will attract what is meant to come to you. I'm putting that out there in the universe recently. Like,
yeah.
if people want to come to me, they're going to find me. And I mean, you're going to find people who are like, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
love seeing ice dyeing, and you're going to get, new people and meet you're going to have new adventures in that whole realm. So I say, do you. You do you. Be yourself. I'm tired of
Yeah.
not.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And you know what? Yeah, I agree. And I feel also like just to kind of round out our conversation on knitting, it's just, it has to be fun. And it's so silly to say that, but like my partner always tells me, and it's usually like when I'm really frustrated and I'm like, like something doesn't go the way I want it in a pattern, or like I'm like halfway through a sweater body and it's like it's not going to work out or whatever. He'll say, "Remember, it's supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
fun." And I'm like, that is good advice because we all have day jobs, like, and we like I mean, I love my job, but like obviously like with every job there's stuff that you don't like, that you just like stomach because you're getting paid, like you get a paycheck, like you have to do it
Mm-hmm.
because, or at least most people have to do it because you have to support yourself. But knitting, in most cases, you know, it's a hobby, so you can like have it be fun, you know. And I think like we talked last week about, or not last week, but in our last episode about like mojo. It's like a similar thing with the mojo. It's like just let it come. It will come naturally. Like don't force it. So if you need like a breather, take a breather. Do a little ice dyeing.
I have
And
80
then, like,
t-shirts. I
4
should
weeks
start
later,
knitting.
you're like, hey, I want to knit again, which is what happened to me. Yeah, it's like that pretty much. I was like, okay, like I think I've like had enough of this for a little bit. Like I'm gonna, go over here and knit for a while. So anyway, I mean, you don't have to listen to me. I'm not the police. I'm not like your boss or your mom or whatever. But just like I think like my big thing though is just be aware. Like have perspective. Like reach outside your bubble a little bit. Just know what you're getting into. Know what you're signing up for. Know what it's all about.
Yeah, and I
That
think
whole
that's
thing.
really great advice, that it is supposed to be fun. And I had lost my fun in the whole thing, and I put it down and I walked away, and I told myself, as soon as I told myself, like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to whatever, and it's okay to walk away and say, I've made peace with not designing anymore. And it just kind of became part of my identity, to where I felt like I couldn't walk away from it. And as soon as I just laid it out, I just said, I'm done. And then all of a sudden, as soon as I'm like, I'm going to do what I want to do, a little bit of creativity struck again, and a little, flicker of that flame returned. And am I going to return to knit design? I don't know. Like, I brought with me today this whole stack of patterns that I have knit and designed that I haven't released. Like, what do we got? 5? We have 5 right there. Just haven't done it.
Capsule
And,
collection.
I don't feel any pressure to do it. So they'll come when
Listen.
they come. They might not come. I mean, there's 2 of them that are definitely going to come because I really love them. And they are the last little bitty bits of me. I mean, some of these I did. One of them was like 3 years ago that I knit, and I just never released it. And it honestly is one of the things that I was really excited to knit, and I loved knitting, and definitely embodies like what I feel as design. And so I'm glad I have that
Yeah.
to say it.
I've said like
Okay.
a zillion things, but I want to say one more thing, and then I'm going to really be quiet. One of my favorite things in life now is, well, and I guess I could give context. I'm going to like put it out there. Well, I won't give the full story, but I think some of you can put the pieces together. So one of my favorite things now is every year a group of us, including Cassie and a couple of our other knit friends, get together and do like a little retreat. And we've been doing this sometimes in conjunction with yarn events, but no longer. So I guess what I'm saying about that is, and like the time that we spent together is so precious to me. And it's because it's like, this is the, to me, like when I think about it, it's like, this is the true joy of knitting. Like, we're all sitting around, we're all working on different stuff from different, different yarn from different places. And we all are living different lives, and we're coming together, and we're all just like obsessed and like knitting away and talking and having fun and like being completely irreverent. And then like going to the local yarn store and like looking around together and being inspired. And I just feel like you can have that without it being attached to you buying somebody's, like a particular company's yarn or a particular store's yarn, or like knitting a particular designer's patterns. Like you can have that community like just on its own.
I fully understand.
That wasn't very eloquent, but I just feel like I think that's That's to me like that's what's at the heart of it for me is like, and it's the thing I never want to lose because it's one of the things that knitting brought my life that I never expected. Like when I went to learn how to knit, I never knew that it would change my life in the way it did. I never knew that it would be like some of my best
Yeah.
friends I would meet through this. So I just feel like, again, I'm offering my own opinion, but I feel like we've lost our way a little bit on that. And it's probably like two things. It's like social media and it's COVID because people have been home and kind of isolated now. But I don't know. I feel like it's about the people and the inspiration and like the encouragement and the joy and not like buy, or like keep up with the Joneses by like knitting
Yeah, and I totally
1,200
agree with that.
patterns
I'm
from
always
these
looking for
popular people.
something new, something different, something, and everybody's knitting with like currently the only thing I see on social media is Andrea Mowry and Magpie. Like, and wonderful designs, beautiful yarn, all of that, but I'm just like, I've looked outside that box and I've landed on some yarns that aren't like the mainstream and I have fallen so in love with them and I just want to like shout it from the rooftops like, hello, look at this yarn. There's something else out there.
See, that's so funny because like I would offer I agree with you. Like I feel like I do see a lot of Andrea Mowry and I see like a lot of Magpie. On the other hand, like it's so funny with Magpie in particular because I had seen them around for years and years.
It was
and
always
I
a
was
little
like,
quieter.
I don't really
Yeah.
get that. I don't really know about that. I was like skeptical. And then yeah, it was quiet and I also just like I don't know, I just never really engaged with it. And then I live in the DC area and they're based in Maryland and they have a store, so I went to the store and
They're
man, did I
lovely
have a good
people.
experience. And they were so nice and I got to like, yeah, I mean, it was just, so that kind of goes with my whole thing. Like, I'm not saying don't like, things that are popular, but at the same time, like, judge for yourself and also like don't be boxed in. Like you can knit with that and other stuff too, I mean, it's just you don't limit yourself is what I'm trying to say. Like explore, never stop learning, never stop exploring, like never stop. Like one of my favorite things to do is like hit the hashtag on Instagram. Like if you're going to do Instagram, hit the hashtag and then see like who you come up with because you might find some people who are
Okay. I think we're back. Are you
yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
recording? I say recording. We say recording.
Recording.
Recording. Okay. As we were saying,
Yeah,
we
so
cut off in the middle of
sorry guys.
people are very lovely people and there's a reason that they've gotten where they are and as popular as they are.
Definitely. Yeah. And yeah, I think we were wrapping up, right?
Yeah, we were wrapping up. Gracie's getting impatient with everything.
Oh, I love her. Look how sweet she is. Hi, Gracie.
She can't hear you.
Gracie. Oh, yeah, because you've got headphones on. She's so sweet,
Yeah.
though.
She is sweet. She's a sleepy dog today. Hello. Aw.
She's doing a little rag doll thing. Our dogs do that, too. They're like, I'm so sleepy.
Oh, yeah. She's just like a loosey-goosey kind of dog. She's like, oh, whatever you want to do to me.
Oh, what a sweetheart.
And now she needs a nap.
She's exhausted from all that attention.
Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Anyway,
Great.
let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
remind the lovely people that you can find us on Instagram. I am Cassie Monksguard, all one word, Cassie Monksguard on Instagram.
And I am Drew in real life, also on Instagram, and I also have an ice dyeing specific account if you're interested in that called Dye on the Rocks. So
Such a creative name.
I thought it was pretty. I was like a little like chuffed. I was like, yeah, smart, good thinking, Drew. And then like I realized like how it is like when you have these ideas now, you're like, okay, I have to see if like anybody else has this. Nope, not as far as I could tell.
As soon as I have an idea, I'm all like, it's taken. Every time, dang it.
No, like, die on the rocks, like, underscore 321 123 or whatever for me.
Yeah, for knit about it, I had to do knit dot about dot it. Because somebody's already out there.
Because you go and then you look at, like the one that you wanted, and it's like, no posts. It's like, come on.
Stop.
Why are you hoarding Instagram handles?
Stop taking my name. But if you have it in your heart, like and subscribe. Leave us some comments.
Yes.
Let us know what you think about whatever we've talked about. I don't even
Send
remember
us
everything
feedback.
that we've talked about. Yeah.
We, like, covered a lot of ground today, so...
We did. I only talked about, like, half of my notes on the knit design thing because I got, like... I just rambled on about nothing.
Well,
my feelings.
That's okay. Listen, you can speak your truth.
Yeah, like I had all these like finding test knitters and publication submissions and being published and all of the stuff there. We'll touch on that later.
Listen, I smell a new segment. Cassie's Design Corner, Cassie's something or other. I don't know.
Cassie's beef with the design world.
Who's Cassie beefing with?
Nah,
Beefaroni with Cassie?
What's the drama? Anyway, yeah, if you like what you've seen, tell your friends.
Yeah.
Bring us some folks. Yeah.
Help us out.
Yeah, I'm not here to be a crazy YouTuber or anything like that, but we're just kind of here to create a discussion and create community and just have a fun little hangout for a little while. Me and my bestie.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah, I agree. Just keep it fun. Keep it light. There's too much, like, crap going on in the world, guys. Like, just release it. Release the stress. Like, breathe it out.
As Maddie Majogamo from Peloton would say, inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit. We could all live by that. Yep.
I love it. Yep. I'm down for it.
All
right.
Well,
See
it was good to catch up with you. Bye.
Bye.